Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Welcome to another daily motivation stream. Are you trying to find the motivation this weekend to get some writing done? Are you hopefully able to put that pen to paper, fingers to typewriter, or keys clacking? I was like, keys clacking. I don't know where I went with that one. Clearly, I need to get in the writing vibe today. So we're going to see what craziness we can get into for this Saturday. We're going to be doing not one, but probably two writing sprints today. So we'll try to get some writing in. Yesterday, I started to get into the vibe at the end of it. And now today will be like Saturday will be a super chill day to just get some writing done. By the way, stick around for the break. We'll catch up. We'll chat. We'll see how our writing is going. And we'll kind of see, all right, are we feeling good about our writing today, especially on the weekend? Or are we not feeling like writing at all? So stay tuned. And by the way, I'm Kaufman. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. This is your daily writing motivation community to help you with finishing your book. So come join us because we're starting right now. All right, my friends. So let's get into it. And as you can see, I already have my software all queued up. I have it here. So we're going to kick off our first writing sprint. Hey, what's up, Whites here? Welcome, 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 my friend. You're just in time to join me for writing sprint number 1. We're going to see if we're able to push ourselves into making some progress today. We're going to see what progress looks like for this fine Saturday late afternoon over here. So we'll see what's up. And all right, so I'm all set on my end. White check, no writing for me tonight, but good progress. You know what? I'm going to try to make some progress. I haven't felt too like I made too much in Scarecrow this past week, so I got to overcome that. Hey, what's up, Miranda? Rita, welcome, friend. Always good to have you over here. And Courtney, what's up? Welcome. All right, let's do it. I feel like I can do it. Have you guys been making writing progress this past week? I feel like I need to catch up on all the vibes. I've been doing so much admin on everything. I've been doing so much admin. I haven't been able to get as much time with Scarecrow. Okay. This is what I'm working on today. I'm working on this. My grizzly bear character is having a temper tantrum. All right, we're going to see how this turns out. And we'll catch up more on the break. All right, my friends, let's do it. I'm all ready. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, vibing, procrastinating, or maybe you're just hanging out, come join us because it's time to write now. right. Writing sprint done. That was actually a pretty good writing sprint. I did way better on that time than I was expecting. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get the vibe this time around, but I think I picked it up pretty well today. Actually, this scene. This is such an interesting scene because I realized I ended up spending a little bit time developing the grizzly bear than I had anticipated. I asked myself, what things did I want the reader to know before we arrive at the Colosseum, which is really this where events are going to start cascading. So like once we get to the Colosseum by the end of this chapter, the pacing of the next like 5 chapters is supposed to pick up. So it doesn't feel like it slows down. And I realized before I get there, which I didn't do in the last draft, of that in the original draft, I mentioned a lot of the animals I wanted during the fights themselves, but I didn't actually do setups for any of the animals. I did to an extent, but I didn't do real setups. And I've kind of gone back and forth and like, okay, well, to what extent do I want to set up these variety of other animal prisoners, of which most of them are designed to really build out this part of the world at this moment. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting for those who've been paying attention to this part of the story the past couple of weeks. I have about, I think, 35 animals. There's 35 animals that I've determined to be in this part of the story, who are all prisoners and basically being thrown together in this Colosseum of the Last, and basically being forced to kill each other, confront each other to the death. So, yeah, interesting. But I want the reader to really like the grizzly bear because Gore is the newest of the main characters, and I realized I needed I need some moments for the reader to find a reason to care about Gore. And I think I'm painting him as more of a badass type character. So I think that's what what I'm going to do. Yeah. All right. How did the writing vibe treat you guys? Were you able to make any progress that time? Hopefully you were able to get some words in on your end. I mean, we know how Saturdays go. Were you able to get any words, ideas? How did that vibe treat you? Drop a comment. I know I saw a couple of you guys hopping in, and we were also chatting about formatting as well, which is always super interesting, right? And I know we did some formatting in the community previously, but I need to be able to teach myself the process, and I haven't decided how I will, because we'll have to do formatting for the next anthology, and then obviously I'll need to do formatting for a Scarecrow when I get to that point. But it sounds like there was like some mixed vibes with formatting. I know Miranda, you're saying D2D was easy enough to use, but not until after you uploaded your cover and explore the different templates to get the cap drop and the designs for around the chapters and scene breaks. Because it sounds like there's a little bit of a slight learning curve to understanding. And then I know, Cheryl, you were saying you loved Atticus, except getting images within the pages is a challenge for me. You still haven't been able to get them in the right spot without leaving a large empty space between, say, chapter title images. Yeah, and I think it's always a little bit of a learning experience with formatting programs. I know I had a little bit of a learning curve when we were trying to format in Amazon for the last anthology. Like this was a huge learning experience. Trying to get this thing formatted correctly was the biggest pain ever. It's like, yeah. But you know what? We made it work. I was so happy. We made it work. All right. And let's see it. Miranda, you're like, some progress. Now I'm journaling and drawing some tarot cards. Oh, that's kind of cool. I know we have a lot of writers in the community who will use tarot for inspiration and story development, which is super cool. Very cool. I don't think I've ever used it for personal story development, but I've had it pulled for me. I've had a couple of tarot enthusiasts, a couple of tarot readers on the stream before in the podcast. I've learned some really interesting things, and I feel like every time they did a pull, I was like, yeah, they gave me some interesting insight for the part of the story that I was working on. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah, sure. Formatting can be kind of a pain. I think I think there's a slight learning curve to whatever program that you're using, because books generally have to be formatted a very specific way to be uploaded to programs like Amazon or whatever programs you're uploading to. So I'm glad you guys are making a little bit of progress. It's in Rita, you're just doing some journaling as well, which is really powerful. Journaling is a good thing. Journaling is very, very powerful. I'm all for journaling. Tiara, I'm glad you're getting work on your screenplay though. I really am. I'm like, and it's cool. I feel like we have been getting a couple more screenwriters in the community, which is kind of cool actually. I love getting like a mix of different styles of writers. And you know what's interesting is I would also consider myself a screenwriter as well, because I've worked on a lot of scripts, but because this past year and a half I've only been focused on Scarecrow, I haven't really found a reason to want to go work on other stories or formats. I'm like very dedicated to like I'm gonna finish Scarecrow. Oh man, it's been a cool experience. White, so you're processing thoughts. I feel that I enjoyed the writing the Faded Fantasy submission more than the novel that started. It's in the early phases still I could switch, and that I could expand the Faded Fantasy piece to a full novel. And I think that's cool, right? That is actually really, really cool. So I think sometimes when we write when we write either short stories or faded fantasy or a flash fiction, I think there's moments where we realize like, oh, this could be a bigger story. And I mean, that's how Scarecrow started. That it started off as a 2-page free write. Right. It started off as the image 2-page write, and that's what I thought it was going to be. And then I had a couple more ideas, and then by the time I was like, that 30 to 50 pages in, I was like, okay, I think I have a book, and I think I have a story here that I want to tell and explore. And then I just kept fleshing it out from there. ML, you like you format your books with MS Word. Well, I mean, you can. I mean, the thing is, I'm not too familiar with formatting requirements, so I don't know how difficult that is to use MS Word with as a formatting software. So, but that's really interesting. That is really interesting, ML. Okay, so on that note, that is the end of the first sprint. And by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. We're here every day with the Right Now community, almost at 500 consecutive streams and counting. It's so crazy. If you are ever feeling like you don't have the motivation to write, if you feel like you're not consistent, if you feel like, hey, you know, I want my book, but I never finished the projects, or maybe you do, and you want to share your knowledge with others, come join us, because we're streaming every day with all types of variety streams. And make sure to tap that follow or subscribe button, and you'll be alerted when we go live. All right, my friends. So on that note, let's get another next writing sprint. I think I'm feeling pretty good on my end, and got to make sure, check my schedule. All right, so I think we are on, I think I'm on a good vibe right now okay, yep, so I still got time. So let's go. The second sprint is going to be longer because I don't have time to do a full third sprint. So sprint number 2 is going to be a longer one. Let's go 20, because I actually felt pretty good about this. So I'm going to do, what are we at? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think I can do that. So we'll do the second sprint at 25 minutes. Okay, I think I can do 40. So we'll do the second sprint at 40 minutes. I believe in us, my friends. We're going to make this one longer. We're going to get some words in, whether we are working or brainstorming or whatever the vibe is. All right, my friends. So I am all queued up on my end. I got 40 minutes on the clock. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, revising, and maybe you're making some great progress, come join us, because it's time to write now. All right, writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful. Ooh, ah, oh man, that was actually a pretty good writing sprint. That scene came out more interesting. I'm gonna have to ask myself if the whole scene is necessary. So I feel like once again I keep adding more. Wow. Supposed to get making the story shorter, and I keep adding more words. This is not helping my story. This is not helping me cut down on word count. Oh man, this I'm writing an epic. We'll see if anybody wants to pick up the book. It'll be a great story though. All right. Well, we will see how that looks on the back end. So I hope you were able to make some progress as well. I know we had a bunch of writers here in the stream. Tiara, I know you asked, you're like, how many sprints am I doing today? I'm actually only doing 2 sprints today because I have to move on to my next thing. But Soul's actually doing a co-working sesh in the Discord right now, so everybody can go hop over to the Discord for chat Soul's thing. But before we move over, I want to just do a quick announcement for, I was like, who we are right now, community. So I just want to do a quick announcement. So for those of you who don't know, for the Faded Fantasy competition, we have the website is all updated and all ready to go. So really quick shout out. Anybody who is still thinking about submitting, who hasn't submitted yet, the webpage for Faded Fantasy is all set. The webpage is all updated with all the vibes and all the links. Faded Fantasy webpage. And I was like, I'm glad that I finally got the webpage up and running. So that's all good. I was like, I should probably drop it in Twitch as well. Perfect. And Faded Fantasy webpage. Perfect. So I just wanted to drop that, do just a really quick shout out, right? So the webpage is all done. It kind of gives an overview of the whole Faded Fantasy competition. So anybody who doesn't know or hasn't or still thinking about Faded Fantasy, everything's here. We have our updated all the timeline of events, our new updated the way we're adjusting the revision process. And yeah, we're going to talk about that more on Monday. We have all of the infographics and all of the links that you need with the updated info packet, submission link, and all the things you're going to need to be successful for the competition. And then of course our team, who we are calling the Oracles, our wonderful, wonderful team, who I wouldn't be able to do this without, guys. Like, let me tell you, I would not be able to bring Faded Fantasy to life without this really, really awesome team. We are the Oracles. So very, very cool. And yeah, so I just want to do a quick shout out. Check it out if you have questions. It has all the things, all the vibes. We'll be talking more about Faded Fantasy questions on our Monday update stream. And yeah, so make sure that if you still have questions, drop them in the chat, send us a message, come holler out in Discord, and we'll talk about that on Monday's live stream. So that'll be the thing there. And remember, submission deadline is next Sunday. So we want to see your stories. We want to see what you got, whether you're writing romance and you're going to write the truest love story ever, or whether you're writing a fantasy and it's going to be magical and mysterious, or maybe it's going to be a fun mix of both. Is it a Faded Fantasy? Well, Mr. Crow seems to think so because he's inviting you to the Faded Fantasy competition. So that's what we got. We'll be touching on that on Monday. I'll be back tomorrow for another writing stream. That's right. So I'm going to be traveling out of my area for a few days. So that my stream times are going to be a little all over the place. Tomorrow, oh man, I'm either going to have to do a super early sprint or one later in the day. We'll kind of see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a sprint one like on a layover. I don't know. Maybe I'll just like talk about writing. We'll see. Because whenever I'm traveling, it's always traveling days are always quite a lot of unknowns at time. So we'll see. So tomorrow's sprint time will be TBD. I'll announce it in the Discord. So make sure that if you want to come join tomorrow or just come chat about writing, I'll throw it up in the Discord to let all y'all know when I'm going to stream, because Kaufman is not breaking a day. Almost at 500 consecutive streams, and we're going to make it, my friends. But on that note, before you take off, and if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on the way out. help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, it's been great. And make sure that if you want to keep writing, or if you just want to go hang out with other writers, you don't even have to have your camera on. You don't even have to, you can just come and chill. Chat Soul is doing their weekly Discord co-working session hangout called Write Chat. I was like making sure I actually had it right. Yes, the new one. Yep, Right Chat. So go join Chat Soul. Go join the other members in the Discord. The event is right in the Discord. It's difficult to miss, super easy to find. Go join Soul. Go join the other writers. If you want to just keep hanging out, maybe you want to get work done, or maybe you want to chat it up a bit. So go chill, especially if you need to go get some more writing done. As we want more ways, to help you guys write and hopefully get through all that storytelling. All right, my friends, thanks all for joining today. But unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers.
Right now.
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 Because it's time to write now.